picture. If you're not here, the AHR actually changes colors and they have pictures of everything going through it. It's pretty neat. But I just put it out there because I wanted to introduce my buddy and a guy who I met. I actually looked it up. I met him. He was working for another company. I actually looked up the day that back in 21, when he opened up his business, I got a call from a friend of mine at a certain supply house, and I won't mention the Zimmermans. And they said, "Who is this guy?" And I said, "Well, you know, he works for a company and he's starting his own, and it'd be nice and open up his account." And he never knew I had this phone call and this conversation. So I just looked it up on my phone. I'm like, I get all this stuff come up on my email. I'm like, this is cool. So anyway, Dylan Amato, say hello.
Hello, everybody. Very excited to be here. To be with Steve Wheels, NTI, the whole team. We're pretty exclusive on our high efficiency boilers at NTI, and I'm happy to discuss a bunch of reasons why.
So Dylan the other night won this. Wait a minute. So he won the Hydronics Hot Shot Award for the year over at HVAC Tactical, which is it was a black tie event, extremely well. I mean, it was sold out. We were lucky we got he and I are lucky we got seats, and we were all supposed to be grouped together, but we were way late on putting this together as far as sitting, and we ended up, believe it or not, I ended up sitting at the table next to his, just behind him. So when he got up, I saw him and his wife, and it was that was fun. That was a fun night. I thought you were going to die on that.
It was fun. It was fun to get dressed up once in a while.
Yeah. So this is a terrible picture. I was hoping to have a real picture from our good boys at HVAC Tactical, but when Dylan went up on stage, first when he stood up, his knees were weak, which was kind of fun to watch, right from behind. And then he got up and he gets up there and he gives the presenters a hug and kiss. And I'm not going to say anything about Mike Flynn and whoever else was with him. And he gets up and he has he gets to the microphone and for a brief moment, and I know for him it felt like it was an eternity. It was about a second and a half. Dylan forgot everything he was ever going to say in his life. Like he forgot his name, his birthday, his social security number, forgot the name of his wife, didn't know who his kids were anymore, and had no idea. And he's got 350 people staring at him. And he actually was pretty fluent in what you said. It was pretty neat.
Listen, it's always good to be prepared. Some of it was planned, and then a bunch of it wasn't. And then you mix them all together in that spotlight moment. And sometimes just do it live, like we are today.
It's just like being in a boiler room,
350 active people inside this community and this trade. I mean, being here at AHR, I mean, it really is. It's eye-opening. I just found out about this movement a couple of years ago. Before that, you're in the daily grind of just working, you know, building a life of whatever you're going for, wherever you are in the industry, and then you come here and you're like, holy shit. There are so many people here that are so passionate, dedicated, knowledgeable, walking textbooks. I mean, all the manufacturers, I mean, any product you buy or come across or see in the supply house, like they have booths here.
Oh yeah,
they're wild.
Oh, yeah.
People putting time into this.
So right after Dylan's award, there was a Lifetime Achievement Award. I just want to step back here for a minute.
Sure.
That was actually given to Dan Holohan, which is pretty neat. And Dan was actually in the booth here. He got here at 1 o'clock, and I said, "Can't you just stay till 2 o'clock?" And he said, "No way in hell." No, that's not what he said. Dan would never say that. He just said, "I can't stay." But I did have him in the booth for about a half an hour, and that was pretty fun. But let's get to the next picture here. So this is I'm going to let Dylan go ahead.
Yeah.
So Paulie Walnuts, and of course you tell everybody.
So first and foremost, my beautiful wife Lauren, she's been with me since the beginning. I mean, she's something special. Every man needs a woman, queen, whatever you want to call it, by your side to reach your true potential. I really believe that. I mean that. I was getting into a ton of trouble before I met her, and years later, I own my own business. We're doing very well. We have 3 beautiful kids. The house is warm and the cabinets are full, all from being a plumber and being in the trades, and I'm very thankful for that. Next, we have my business partner and my good friend, Paul.
You have to point this way because they can't see when you talk that way. This way, that way, right?
And that's Paul Mailer, and we're the 2 halves of Next Gen. You know, a little fun, quick story about Paul for any of our viewers. Not too long ago, I asked a hometown guy that I grew up with running his own company for a job, just coming up in the trade. And after meeting him at a local Starbucks, he said, "I got the perfect guy you're going to work with every day. show up on Monday, ready to go, tool bag in hand, and I jump in Paulie Walnuts' truck to be his helper. And X amount of years later, we opened up our own company and just hit the ground running.
Whoa, you mean Paul used to work for the previous company you worked for?
No, he was a couple companies.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to say, I don't remember him because I did a lot of trainings where he used to be, and I don't remember him.
Just a couple years into the trade, I got hired to be his helper. And we just hit it off, a bunch of common interests and visions of being, our own bosses and running our own company one day. And we're making it happen.
So,
man, hold on real quick. The handsome guy in the middle, if you don't know, that's Steve Whelan.
And look, I have an Eagles shirt on underneath my suit.
Yeah, that was a big game.
That was kind of fun. Well, now let's get, I met your wife for the first time.
Was that?
That was the first time I ever met her.
Oh, no kidding.
And see you, Renzo. So, what a lovely woman. I could say that I've known you for at least 6 years, 7 years, maybe 10. And I will say that his wife, when he selected, I mean, he definitely has traded up here. I mean, there's no option. This is funny. But she's a wonderful woman and cute as a button. And she's just a wonderful woman. That's all I can say. Wonderful woman, and God bless you.
Hey, I read somewhere on Instagram, social media, because it's so true, it's so powerful now. Your most important life choice or decision will be your spouse. And hey, I definitely, worked for that one.
Or in my case, your second spouse.
Hey, life is pure. You can have more than one.
So kind of fun, right? So it's getting kind of loud. So a few years ago, and these guys are just going crazy over here. I'm sorry, but a few years ago, Dylan had asked me to design a system and asked me my input on something, and I drew this up. So you guys can all see this on the screen, and this is what I did. But apparently Dylan was like, like right now, my left is my right and my right's my left because I'm looking at a backwards screen here, right? So it's like a mirror image. But, and Dylan did this with it. Now, I don't know if you noticed. Let me go back here. The boilers are on the right, and he put the boilers on the left. Now, he totally screwed this thing up. Dylan, tell us about this job. And I have a couple more slides of it, but tell us, get a little closer to the microphone. Tell us about this job.
I absolutely love this job. It was one of our biggest opportunities. We did the entire plumbing and heating design for a, 15,000 square foot custom home, 11 bathrooms, 6 or 7 bedrooms. And it was very important that they had radiant heat. And again, being exclusive to NTI for a lot of reasons, I knew I had to go back to the team when this just started as blueprints and a bid and say, hey, how are we going to put this job together? My biggest residential job, and it was really just a team collaboration. One of the most important features of this was really being very simple on the control side, not overcomplicating things, and really just bringing out the craftsmanship of how we can build such a large project. And I think we blew it away. I'm a little speechless. There's some specifics that I think you want to go over and talk about on why we decided what we did. And happy to answer those,
Well, so
just looking at this thing, man.
So Dylan's being kind here because when he did this job and he posted this on Facebook, which is kind of funny, right? So he posted this on Facebook, and I had no idea this was posted. And I think it's a beautiful job. And some jackrabbit decides to crucify him on this job. Why would you do it? Why would you pipe it this way? Blah, 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 blah. And, you have to work around the controls that you have and try to keep things simple, right? And so I designed this job so we could have, and let me go back to design real quick and just show you that here I have a primary loop. Now, we haven't used primary loops a lot with condensing boilers, but we always do with cast iron boilers. And Teddy will smile about that because this is how we started with primary, secondary piping, is we had these primary loops. But I needed to have both these 150s to be able to generate enough heat to heat up those 2 indirect water heaters. And I needed to build priorities. So these boilers have 2-zone controllers, and I could turn this circulator off, the system circulator off, so the loops couldn't get heat when I turned the indirect water heaters on. And we were using the boilers for temperature control. So when the indirects went on, the boilers went up to 180. The indirect water heater circulator went on. And when that went off, the system circulator came on and the boilers went back to doing the mixed temperature that we wanted for the radiant floor heat. Dylan was kind enough for this whole job to design a system that all the temperatures were within 20 degrees, and the cooler the temperature, the further away from the primary pump it was. But we had enough GPM that everything gets nice and hot evenly. So that's how we came up with this. And this guy had no idea. And Dylan's like, oh my God, this is terrible. You guys suck. Who designed this shit? And so Dylan sends me this email that says, hey, Wheels, this guy's up your shit. So you got to do something about this. Go ahead, tell us.
Well, listen, they definitely, some of the people that only live in a textbook wanted to try and crucify us. But I'll tell you, speaking here live, I'm an owner operator. You know, a lot of things go past just a book and being in the field and using your mechanical ability and troubleshooting and technical stuff that happens only on the fly. To give you a quick background, I'm a service guy as well. We're a service company. I can't tell you how many boiler rooms I landed with radiant heat systems that have no design, no paperwork, nothing going on. There's been 5 other plumbers in there that thought they knew what they were doing or didn't, mixed on here and there. I mean, it's insane. So when the book fanatics want to talk about specifics, how many jobs out there are actually even operating off of that, or the original design that's lost X amount of years later? Same thing, you know, just a big conversation about this job was the temperatures. So that's what I'm kind of highlighting. You know, there's always a design, but in that example I'm giving you, when you go to a service call with no heat and there's been 5 other people there, is that job really working off that design temp that you can't find and there's no plans for anymore? Or are you using that mechanical ability to heat their home, not overheat their floors, and just get them comfortable? But with this specifically, we wire all our own boilers. As a licensed plumber, I feel like we have to know a little bit of every trade. In the HVAC world and the plumbing world, we're almost like borderline electricians. So very important that this design was as simple as possible. It's really working off of a circulator and a zoning manifold and Takeo expandable controls. It is like, for such a massive job, it is really as basic as it can be. Almost every job I do on the boiler side is really, I just want to almost be able to understand it myself. Because again, sometimes you go into these rooms and there's just so much going on that the most experienced boiler guy will have to take a step back and say, let me follow all this, because I just can't put it together on why he did this or why this happened. So a couple big comments that happened on this job was the decrease in our water temperature through that header. And that's on purpose. So I'll give you 2 examples. And I've spent a lot of time on this job. I've tested everything. I've gone over all the temperatures. If every zone is calling, all 14, it is on purpose that the water temperature is cooling down as we get to the last 4 zones. All of those 4 zones is under 5,500 square feet of radiant under slab with Viga's rapid grid system. On paper, it was designed to run off 93 to 95 degree water temperature. When every zone is calling, I'm sending out about 95 to 100 degree water temperature to those zones. Great, working awesome. So now let's backtrack a little bit to the second question that I was getting beat up about. If only those slab zones are calling, you're going to be sending 120 degree water there, and it's going to be overheating, and your job, you know, is just terrible. Again, let's get back to the story of being how many boiler rooms with no design, no paperwork, no nothing. You're telling me that an under slab radiant system can't run off of water temperature that you might shower with or wash your hands with 115, 120 degrees? I mean, the fact that just those 4 slab zones will be running on their own is next to never. But if they were, again, the mechanic in me is okay with that. What's the problem? It's really not that big of a deal. I mean, again, 120 degree water. So in doing it this way, I saved thousands of dollars on mixing valves or controls that we would have had to put in, or a different layout on the wall, just so many different variables, where when Viga sent me back the entire design, and it was like a 25 degree delta from our warmest loop to our coolest loop. I looked at my boy Gerard, heating rep for South Amboy Supply, and just said, dude, let's run this shit off of all of one temperature, keep it as simple as can be, and just stance it out always. And that's what we did. And just to give a little background too, because a lot of people ask me why I had to run those are all 20-foot lengths of 1-inch L copper.
Wait. I got a picture for that.
Yeah.
So I just want to highlight the fact that we just gave a shout out to Vega, Takeo, South Amboy, right? I think that's the three that we
For
did
sure,
so far,
yep.
right?
That's the
right?
team right
so,
there.
So, and whose low loss header is that you're using?
Spyro vent.
Spire. Thank you, Dino. You're welcome.
Yeah.
Okay, no problem.
All
Dino's just walked
webstone
by.
isolation flanges and boiler drains.
Yep.
You know, we use our REMS bender on all the bends.
Wait a minute.
Takeo on
Now
all
you
the
talk about
pumps.
bends. Now there's the manifold, boys. And if you're not sure about manifolds, Dylan, you have a video on Next Gen on your Instagram.
We do.
That shows you carrying this manifold in, right? So tell a little bit about what you did here.
Well,
and wait a minute. For those of you who think that this is and you look at it and go, why are the tees so far apart? No. It's the closely spaced tees that are for each zone. They're further apart between the zones. And if you look at it and just take a deep breath and relax and take your panties out of the crack of your butt, you'll be able to see that it's correctly done. Go and tell them about the job.
Yeah. Well, first and foremost, I want to give a shout out to T-Drill. I'm trying to get them to collab with us on a project because we used a 20-year-old T-Drill, a T55 that I bought off Facebook Marketplace and just started making our own manifolds. And there's 28 taps that we did all on one 20-foot length of copper. We did end up cutting it down a little. And again, this was very important to us to be different, to be creative, but also I can't imagine. I mean, Vega is my pro press company, you know, just to say that. So I still couldn't imagine putting in 28 T's on that manifold to create this job. I just said, hey, let's take a straight piece of L copper, drill it, braze it, and put our own little touch on it. And me and my partner, Paul, we absolutely crushed it. And we're so happy. I just want to comment, though, on why all the copper goes up and over the way that it does, because I got a couple questions on that, you know, about waste of copper or this and that. Number one, we just purchased all 20-foot lengths of copper. We knew we were making a couple bends for each in designing this before we ever get into the boiler room. And there is a huge, which way am I supposed to be pointing? Behind the manifold.
So understand this. So this is what they see on their screen, right? So you're not pointing anywhere. So just wait a minute. Watch this. You can use this and you can highlight.
So behind all of these circulators and our manifold and everything rising up,
move slowly.
Is the staircase that comes down the basement. So nothing could have went out this wall. Every supply and return, we ran all home runs to manifolds throughout the house that are controlled by a specific circulator, and everything was supposed to leave the mechanical room on this wall. So my team is the best. We absolutely crushed it. We bought 300 or 1,000-foot coils of 1-inch heat packs. Some 3/4 loops are in here just from in and out of the mechanical room, and ran every loop off a coil. There are no fittings. It is a home run from manifold location wherever in this 15,000 square foot home. The only connections are accessible on manifold and accessible where we converted from copper to heat packs in the mechanical room. And then with all the bends, the T-drill, the custom made manifold, I mean, you're literally talking about hundreds of fittings and contact points and chances of leaks that we completely eliminated. And we really are. We're just so happy with this. And it's even funnier that we got a lot of criticism from certain people in certain avenues because this house works great. Like this is a high caliber guy that we worked for. It's not easy to build a 15,000 square foot home and the cost that goes into it. And let me tell you, right now in New Jersey, it is cold. And this house is comfortable on all floors, every zone, every avenue. The people are blown away, and so are we. We used all the heavy hitters, you know, NTI, Takeo, Webstone. We used the REMS bender. We have the Addy mag. Everything's isolated.
So wait a minute. I was just going to ask you about that. That's an Addy magnet filter.
Yeah. Addy magnet filter,
right here,
double cylinder, you know, for the GPMs that got to go through it.
right?
Can't use the single on this job.
Nope, too many GPM.
Exactly.
But you didn't go 4-inch flange because we only had, I think on that point, we only had about,
Yeah, we only
When-
had to
when-
really go double because of the indirects, I
when
think,
the
right?
domestic went on, right? Because we only had 19 gallon a minute on the rest of the system, if I remember correctly,
Exactly.
right? So,
Real low.
yeah.
And I want to highlight something too.
What?
Just as far as design of the home, because it was actually pretty impressive to me. A 15,000 square foot home in New Jersey had a heat loss calculation where it only required 150,000 BTUs to heat that entire home. One small residential boiler could have heat this whole place. It's incredible. We only put 2 in for redundancy, twin them together, and because the domestic side required a little bit more oomph, you know, if 11 bathrooms were all trying to work at the same time.
So I just have to go online here and say, you know, Ted and Dylan and myself and Jason, I believe is on here too, just not on screen. And I can say that we're all a little OCD and we need everything plumb and straight. And we all see these jobs where the PEX is running, it's all comes down to a freaking spaghetti shithole. Like you just got done putting it through a colander and you just dried it and threw it on somebody's plate. And that's what it looks like for the entire boiler room. But look at how straight and true this copper is. I mean, all the bends, all the supports. I mean, it's amazing. That's amazing. It gives me chills looking at that.
I like the bends. I like the
The
bends.
other thing I also want to highlight, because it's pretty special, this boiler room was built by two people only. It was me and my partner Paul, and it wasn't that many days. I think we were there in really less than a week doing the mechanical room. Maybe obviously more time for running the supply and returns to each manifold location, maybe, you know, connections, but the bulk of it was really done in just a couple days. And the venting, it's deceiving, but all that's in Centrotherm, best venting material you can use. And it's not close. You know, we actually ran pretty far run on all 4 vent lines. So again, it just goes to the magnitude of how much work is here and all the extra time that people think that it takes to do what we do. And I just want to remind you, this is 2 guys that show up, that are passionate about what we do. We play a little music, we bust a couple jokes, and
you don't play a little bit of music.
just get to work, you know?
Play that headbanging music the entire time. You guys are like doing this shit.
Get to work, you
It's
know?
amazing. So I just noticed something. You have some acid, you said condensate neutralizers. They don't look like a standard neutralizer. You know, usually the long tubes, but you have these things that look like a trap more than they look like a condensate neutralizer.
Exactly.
Tell me about those.
So those, we actually just recently found out about them. Again, a lot of these things come back to your supplier. Are you working with the right supplier that cares about your job as much as you do, which we have in South Amboy and our main homie Gerard, and they're always looking for a product that fits our vision. So the long cylinders just wasn't a option at that time.
No room.
This is what they had. And again, in this project, it was a ×2. And we're excited. It was actually one of the first times we used this specific one. I started buying them a lot more after this job. And they just work great. I mean, you can turn them around so they can discharge in either direction. And they're very sleek looking. I mean, I've definitely ran into some problems sometimes with the cylinder ones, making it fit on the wall. I've seen some people actually make the cylinder a trap. I personally hate installing them that way. So I always really like to put them in horizontally. And again, you know, there's not much actually behind them other than my rep recommended it. It was in stock. And again, we put it in a position where it looks great. We used, oh yeah, look at that. We used another one there on another TFTN.
I just thought, okay, so that was the,
TFTN 285.
wait. So this was the
Mecca.
This was the Mecca
The
job.
monster.
This is what he won the Hydronic Hotshot Award on. Was this
Probably
job.
one of them.
It was amazing. I mean, when we were the competition was up against. I mean, when they showed the competition, and I don't mean any.
Noel and Mitch
Yeah.
Sherman, I believe his last name is.
Please.
They were tremendous. I mean, their work is above the best.
But when you looked at the 3 jobs that they had, because he was against 3 competitors, and I could say that when you looked at this compared to the other jobs, I mean, besides the boilers being better, I won't say who the other boilers were. I'll just say that the piping job was amazing here, and the workmanship and the craftsmanship was off the charts. But it's not just this job. I mean, look at this. look at this job that he did. This is just a simple TFTN, right? Go ahead.
Yeah, so this was a cast iron block boiler, atmospheric vented up a chimney. A client of ours brought us in actually from finding out the quality of the work we do. He had a huge house somewhere in our area, 7-zone system, wanted to go high efficiency, wasn't afraid to spend a little bit more money on the better product, or not the better product, but a different product that NTI sells, TFTN. I install a lot of FTVNs. It's definitely our more affordable
Look at you not
option.
all the letters.
But the TFTN, I work that in when we can. And this client was willing to spend the money on this product. And again, this was just a 7-zone system where everything had to move to a completely different area of this room. And a very big thing for us at NextGen is keeping things as seamless, minimal, and clean. Everything we do off the bottom of the boiler, I really try and draw beforehand and just say how can I just make it as simple as possible with straight lines and just being seamless. So again, this was a 2-inch header based on flow. We T-drilled the 7 zones on supply and return off these manifolds. Had the customer is actually very excited about keeping that wall brick, and I thought that was an awesome comment and
awesome.
Really complimented the job. And then, hey, every room is a little different. You know, you only have so much space to deal with. So we decided to give the pumps a little bit of a different design, went with 4 low, 3 high, and really just put a little bit of our touch on it.
But doesn't that make it easier to service, having them staggered like that?
It does, yeah. I mean, again, if you look through our account and some of our work, I have plenty of jobs where I stack those pumps up, you know, and it just happens that way. Definitely agree with that comment. Doing it this way is definitely a little bit easier. I mean, especially too with the Webstone valves, you know, a homeowner that's a little mechanically inclined could probably change his own circulator. You know,
Well, let's not go there. Let's not make it too easy.
Yeah.
We still need his job, right? Should have said he said.
All right, let me keep that.
So now I'm looking at the vent and intake, right? So the exhaust and the intake, which is extremely important when it comes to condensing boilers. So it appears as if your intake's from someplace and your exhaust is someplace different. Tell me about that.
Yes. So again, layout of the house, going from atmospheric vented to high efficiency. Our vents now have to discharge directly outside, and you're only left to work with what you have. You have to read the book. You have to read the requirements of distances away from wherever you're venting. So in this specific application, we had to bring our exhaust further away from where the boiler was than where our intake was able to be drawn from. So that's pretty much why we used PVC on our intake, just a little up and out, right, really close to the boiler. And then actually our exhaust probably on this one goes maybe about 1 foot up, and to exit out the foundation, maybe under 12 feet, but we had to move them a little apart. It really has to do with exterior of home. Always pay that mind. Walk outside, look at all 4 walls of a home when you're quoting a job or bidding a job.
So whoa, wait a minute, wait. So what you're saying is the first thing that you look at is the intake and exhaust locations.
For sure.
Because it's like, you know, I'm a plumber, so are you, right? So I'm a master plumber by trade, so are you, which is probably why we hook up so well.
Yeah.
But you know, we know that, okay, so if anybody's on here, this is going to be politically incorrect. Shit flows downhill, paydays on Friday, never bite your fingernails. The 3 rules of plumbing, right? So exhaust is an intake is the same way, right? You have to have a straight line of go to. I mean, the exhaust has to be pitched back to the drain, which is the boiler, right? So you got to take that in consideration, and this is a challenge, isn't it?
It is, for sure. I actually think there's 3 big challenges in selling any high efficiency job, which is definitely what I look at always. It's something we drill into our team. Venting, gas, and condensate. Because a lot of times, you know, like people don't have a drain line. You don't think about that in the condensing boiler. The venting, I mean, I've literally have told a client that wanted a high efficiency boiler that it just wasn't an option for them. You know, there are boilers in the middle of the house. There's nowhere to send it. There's nowhere to go. Nowadays, there's chimney liners, but for that specific job, for whatever reason, it didn't line up, but they just couldn't get what they want. You know?
I'll go online and say that that will be the last time that he ever says that, because we will design it around whatever whatever he has. Anyway, let's go to the next one here. So this is something, I mean, very tight space. You use zone valves and a circulator, single circulator.
Yeah.
So tell us what made you decide to use, the Takeo, and you can tell us more about the 007E, right? And the zone valves. Tell us more why you did that.
Yeah. So the photo on the right, it was just a 4-zone system, high efficiency boiler changed to another high efficiency boiler. And I'll just, be honest, a lot of replacement jobs that we get, we just redo their mechanical room the next gen way, but we don't try and reinvent the wheel too much. So to answer your question, the job on the right, they had a 4-zone valve system that just wasn't working out for them based off boiler. We won't tell them what boiler it was, but it crapped out in less than 10 years. And we just had to bring them back to life. So I do want to highlight the Centrotherm, because that was their chimney vent kit that we used and snaked it down the chimney on one of those jobs.
So I just want to say, for those of you who know what I'm talking about, that carpet in the boiler room on the right is groovy, baby.
Yeah.
I like that.
So I had about 20 or 30 pinball machines and a whole bunch of other stuff in this mechanic room. It's pretty cool.
So now let's look at the on the left. Now, this is kind of unique because the return line comes back through, and you actually use the magnetic filter as a U-bend at the end, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. And again, a lot of these things for us in placement of parts comes down to the wall we're working with, the area that we have, and again, just making things as simple and seamless, minimal turns, minimal fittings, everything we just try and do simple and clean. So again, this is a 1-zone combi boiler, 1 heating zone. A 150 is putting out what on the domestic now?
Oh, that's the 150 would give you 4 gallons a minute and a 70-degree rise.
So we're getting 4 gallons a minute in a smaller home application, plenty for the needs of these clients. And we also just want to shout out, because it's a great product, the Halo water systems filter, the Ion 6. Always protected.
Where's the Ion 6?
Real close.
Right here?
Right in there, yeah.
Right here. That's the Ion 6.
No, not everybody likes to put them in, because let me tell you, again, owner operator, I know my numbers. You're looking at about $400 right there. Probably some of my competitors aren't including that, which is why their price is a little cheaper. But we go the extra mile to buy the right parts and protect our investments of the client's needs, and just give them a better product.
Whoa. So what you're saying is that it's not always about price, it's about confidence and quality.
Absolutely.
Where you're explaining to the customer what their investment is going to bring to them.
Absolutely. And listen, take this for face value, but I am willing to lose some of my margin to do a better job if I need to, and I feel it's the right thing to do. I'm in this thing for the long haul. Customers that call me for 30 years are better than hitting a home run overnight, and that's just always been my philosophy. I also custom made our primary secondary there. I know you guys sell
wait a minute.
Kit.
The primary secondary right here.
Exactly.
Yep.
So 2 closely spaced tees again and I've done this a couple different styles, but whether it's the supply or the return, I drop down straight right into that tee where you're only offsetting the second one. Again, trying to keep things minimal. I've seen people do this a ton of different ways, which you can. Hey, a wise man taught me a while ago, you can take those tees, turn them, flip them, put them in any which way you want, as long as they're installed correctly. So there's a ton of different ways that people do it. Again, it comes down to you and being creative. And Terrence said it best, I think, at the award show. These boilers are really turning into just artwork. We have to be it's something special, I mean, it really is. So just trying to be artistic in our installs. That's what it comes down to. I mean, oh my God, it's crazy that we can just keep going,
So here's a job where Dylan decided that
I just want to say I'm super
wasn't just enough. So we needed to put 2 boilers, and we used the Series 2 FTVNs here. And then he added the LED lights to it. And I don't know if they changed colors, but he's got U-bends on shit. Tell us about this job.
Yeah. So again, another residential application, 2 atmospheric vented boilers, not properly twinned together, but worked. Again, to my book freaks, this job was done wrong. but was in this house for 35 years, and the guy had no problems ever. Go figure to that one. But anyway, he found our company. He wanted to invest in high efficiency, and we landed the job, and we went with 250,000 BTU FTVNs with an S65 indirect to meet all of his domestic needs, high efficiency at its finest, and just again, like our philosophy, keeping things seamless, simple, as minimal as possible, custom made headers. This was a 10 zone house. So taking off of the brick job you saw a couple photos ago with the pumps was the same idea actually Paul and I went with the zone valves here. We said we're limited to our wall space. This was only maybe 10, 12 feet. It wasn't long, 2 sheets of plywood we hung horizontally or less was this job. We had to rip them down. So it's not a lot of space. 2 boilers, 10 zones. We went over this a dozen times. We actually wanted to do all the zone valves staggered like they are, and then keep all of the return lines past that, but real clean. We had to loop them behind, again, just dealing with space. But I mean, it's crazy. Like, what's going through my mind right now is the days that we're installing this, like I remember specifically, you're just in there, you're grinding, you're working, you're just moving a million miles a minute, and then you're gone once you turn it on.
You never see it again. Until I put a picture like this up.
Yeah, right now I'm looking at this and I'm just like, holy crap.
So something that
what we did there.
A lot of people don't see.
What an investment for our client. I mean, come on.
Absolutely.
This is what it comes down to.
So here's one thing that sticks out on this. One, you gave redundancy by having 2 boilers.
Yeah.
You only have 1 boiler really running when we're doing heating, but both boilers running when you're doing domestic. But the one thing, and this is really funny, the one thing that sticks out to me is how you hung your expansion tank. Because I see expansion tanks hung up of like band iron that's hung up that it's stapled to the ceiling, and it's like, what are you thinking? And look at what you did here.
I will tell you exactly what I'm thinking. And the values that I have from growing up is always to give credit when due. Use social media as a platform to be better, to learn different ways, to look at the leaders in the industry and what they're doing. Flintstone, Michael Flynn started using those expansion tank brackets, and I texted him one day. I said, hey man, your jobs are so clean. Where do you buy that thing? Where do you get it? And sure enough, he's buying it from my main supplier, South Amboy Supply. And I called them up and say, never forget one of these on my order.
And if I remember correctly, that's an Axiom, isn't it?
It is. It is an Axiom, yeah.
So,
and listen, so far to date, never had a problem. No issues, no error. You can throw that thing wherever. I would rather keep all of that together clean. And worst case scenario, I got to swoop in some 1/2-inch copper wherever my fill point is, and not too hard to do.
So I have a question for you. So the LEDs in this picture are red. And I know some people are doing crazy things, and don't take this the wrong way. Do those LEDs change colors when other things are working, or are they always red?
They don't. Again, hey, licensed plumber, not licensed electrician. But no, they don't change color. It was just another little feature. Again, I will tell you, for anybody that is pricing their own jobs or knows what they're looking at as far as cost, there's some cost here. This was an expensive job. So we just went the extra mile for our client. He was very passionate about finding us and the quality that he would be left with. So we thought it was a nice chance to throw the diamond plate on there, give it a little flair. So he's got a remote, and he could go in there with his friends and change the colors, turn it off and on.
So it's killing me. I mean, you have the twin boilers, which is redundancy. You gave them all the domestic hot water. You gave them a fire vent low loss header and dirt separator. You gave them
double O 26E circulator.
Variable speed, my favorite favorite circulator, which Takeo is like, you sold everything we had produced the first month. And I'm like, sorry, dude. I mean, great pump, fits all sorts of applications.
We have our magnet on our separator, which allowed me to buy the strainer.
There's the magnet right here.
On the return side, you could kind of catch in the first picture under the circulator.
Over here.
Sometimes I use the Addy Mag. Sometimes I go this style. The reason why I may not use the Addy Mag is because I'm already buying the Hydrocep, which comes with the magnet, and to team those up again, owner operator, it ends up being a cost thing. Price out your own jobs, and you know what I'm talking about. It gets expensive. These parts are They're expensive. You know, it's expensive parts to buy.
But again, it's never about the money to the customer. It's about the confidence and the quality.
That's true.
And,
to the right customer.
Exactly.
To the right
Well, yeah, but only a rich man can afford a bargain. So, so
That's why they got so much money.
Exactly. But you come in and you explain the entire job and you do stuff like this. I mean,
yeah,
I
call this Big Brother, Little
Brother. I'm just throwing this out here. I mean, I just thought this was really cool.
Big Brother, Little Brother. Yeah, another one again.
I mean, look at the twin magnetic separators.
Yeah, so these boilers actually aren't twin together. This was another radiant heat job, new construction project. I also just want to throw this out there that this job was for the personal home of a licensed master plumber in our area that runs a $20+ million firm. And he found me and said, "I seen what you do. I love your work quality. You know, I want you to come and do my personal home." So, you know, he has a full radiant heat system throughout his basement, first floor, second floor. And then he went with a full snow melt driveway, walkway, the whole nine. And again, we just felt so honored to be working for another
Was
plumber.
this the one with the whole driveway that you put on Instagram and all the pipes are going everywhere?
Yeah.
And you know, the fun part of this is notice that I mean, Dylan's not doing advertisement. Dylan is not sending stuff out everywhere. Dylan's posting on Instagram. This guy found him on Instagram going, "Dude, love your work. Do my work." And now Dylan's got these aerial pictures from I think they were just in the porch, but they look like you were in a helicopter taking these pictures down here. That's just a little house.
Yeah, it was amazing. This job was really fun. And again, just to highlight this job, because it's the one thing that's flowing through my mind, is we're a small team. We were crazy busy when this job needed to start and get done. I was almost in this boiler room for 80% of it by myself. Bends, manifold, other than the hanging, right? I needed some help to hang the boilers. But again, like a solid
$3.99.
Yeah.
What the hell's your problem?
80% of this job.
Wimpy. Look at this. Look at these guns. He can't pick up a $3.99 by himself.
And again, not many days. Again, we get in, we get it done. So it's impressive. You know, it's a lot of work goes into our stuff.
So I'm just going to highlight this over here. So we know about the filters, but what's this tank over here with the pressure gauges shit in the corner?
Yeah, another Axiom product, I believe, right?
Yeah.
And that is for our antifreeze, mixture, only for the driveway. So the entire driveway has manifold locations in a nice pit outside. And yeah, it was fun to pump that whole thing up with antifreeze and get it rolling. I'll actually say too, you know, because I checked in with a couple people to do this, and for me, first timer, it was a little tricky. You know, you had to make sure. You know, I'm a big worrier, so I had to make sure everything was right.
That's worrier, not warrior. For those of you who are leaving, that's not like I'm killing it. That's where you're like, oh my God, what am I going to do next?
Yeah. And listen, worrying is good. Don't be afraid to worry. It means you care. You should care about your jobs, care about the product you're leaving for your clients. So yeah, that is a little pump to keep things pressurized on the glide cloth side. And again, I just went with trying to keep the room tight. This was another tight room. I don't think we had more than 14 or 15 feet. And dude, 2 boilers, 8 zones for the main house, 2 zones for the snow melt. It's a lot of room. My suggestion would be always draw your jobs out. Don't land in a mechanical room with a whole bunch of fittings and boxes and try and set it up that day. Do yourself a favor, you know. So cold beer at night with a pen and paper and draw it out.
So this is the cool shit of our day, right? I mean, we get to hang out, you know, and Teddy too. I mean, this is how Ted and I met, was on jobs like this. You know, Ted and I back in the day were doing this stuff together. Design, build, radiant, boilers. Then we got these, you know, high efficient boilers that were cast iron or whistling aluminum, and that will make Teddy laugh a little bit. And then we got these condensing boilers that we could simplify it and change things and use all the way we designed systems long ago and incorporate into what we have, but also make it simpler. And it all depends on the job, right? It all depends on what you're trying to do and what you're trying to put together. It depends on how you're going to design it. And here's a man who's doing every bit of that. I mean, he's sitting there looking at it, taking everything into account, figuring out where the venting has to go, putting everything. Look how tight of a space this is. I mean, I mean, just a quick glance, it looks like there's 10 zones in this place, and he has it all squeezed in this little teeny area, and it all fits, right? And this was our job, right? And Ted can agree. We've been on jobs where, and I won't mention, and Ted wasn't on this job, but I will mention Mario Andretti, whose wife wanted she wanted a mink room for her minks. That wasn't live minks, that's ones that you wear. And she took over 2/3 of my boiler. And then the guys came in and said, well, you know, we also have to have chilled water tanks. And that took another third of our boiler room. And you couldn't make it look like this. I mean, this is amazing what he's done. So I just, oh, wait a minute, that's the thank you time. So I'm gonna stop sharing my screen, I think. Let me see how I do this. I think I do it here. I stop sharing my screen. I'm looking, stop showing my screen. There we go. Good. So Dylan D'Amato, #1, hydronic hot shot right here. This is the shit you can do, guys. This is what you can do in the field that you should be doing. And he's not walking away from jobs going, and people are going, oh, you're so expensive. Oh my God, what do I do? He's getting jobs. Guys with their own plumbing heating business are calling him up going, please do my job because my guys can't do shit like you do. Please, for God's sake, spend the time, enjoy it. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. I mean,
it does. I think it has to do with just really enjoying what you do. There's no way that you can put those rooms together if you're not really enjoying it. You know, as an owner operator, I just go where the phone takes me. I don't say no to anybody. I'm trying to build a great business for ourselves. So there's a lot of times I end up not doing what I necessarily want. But the side of the business that we get to be a part of, the boiler, the hydronic, the radiant, that's really, I mean, as you can see in our work, it's a passion of ours and it runs deep. I just want to give a quick shout out to NTI as a whole, specifically Steve Whelan. Everybody knows he has wheels, but listen, again, as an owner operator, everything comes down to support. I'm buying a product that I'm putting in somebody's home that I did not manufacture in my basement, but I have to be liable for it. When the client has an issue, they're not calling Steve, they're calling me, and they want everything answered. And there haven't been many times for as many boilers as I put in, but every single time, this man answers the phone. He's there when I need him. He's got the right answers. He puts us in the right direction. They always stand by their product. And that's what I need. You know, that's what I need as an owner operator company, that in the 9th hour, when I've showed up 2 or 3 times, you know, not wasting his time trying to figure it out for myself, like, right, don't get stuck calling him and you never did a combustion test. When you do all these things and you need them to show up for you, NTI has done that every time for me. And again, you know, combustion test, installed correctly, treat the water, I don't have a problem. I'm very happy. I'm satisfied.
yeah.
And I also think you're very fairly priced for the market that we're in.
And you say that. So a couple things. One, he mentioned water quality, which we didn't mention too much tonight. And he worked for a company that prior, and I won't mention their name, decided to change name brands because I stopped honoring warranties after the 3rd or 4th boiler I gave away because of water quality. And I even cut them open in front of them to show them what happened. And they changed boiler companies because it was so much better. It's the same, almost the same heat exchanger, same quality, same style, right? And I asked the guys, I said, you know, you're not having failures with this new company XYZ, right? And what are you doing? You know, what I said, what chemicals are you using? They said, oh, we're using all that 80 stuff, you know, 80 #3 to clean it, 80 #1 to protect it. I said, are you using the magnetic filters? He said, oh yeah, we're using magnetic filters now too. So he changed boiler companies. He figured out that he has to change shit so he can get there, because NTI finally said after 4 boilers are what cost me a few steak dinners, and this man looked at this going on and said, screw him, I can do my own shit better than actually give people what they paid for better than what he's doing, and protect the boilers and do everything in between and make it look fabulous.
I will say though, to give a little credit, we have to give a little.
Little.
You know, just a little, because the funny part in this is
A little, just a little.
working for that said company, he taught me about water quality, magnet filters, combustion, He was one of few. I mean, I worked for 5 or 6 companies. Again, without naming any names, I am very thankful that he did care enough to teach his employees about the importance in combustion and hydronics. And I didn't learn about any of this till years later, but it was funny that at that said company, it was the one of few that I learned about combustion, water quality, and protection.
After they had many failures.
Yes, because they went, they didn't get their steam wheeling.
That's it. So, hey guys, it is 3:05. That means we spent 2 hours and or an hour and 5 minutes. So our time is up. And I just want to ask if you have any comments. I mean, you can look at the comments here, right? I mean, Charles Mateo says, nice looking job, nice to see simple controls, which is true. Make it good, make it work, make it simple. It couldn't be better, but don't cut costs if that makes sense. So, and at the same token, Ricky Coster says, costly up front, but will save tons of service down the road. Absolutely. And this is the key, because there's a lot of companies, and we went through this the other night, right? Remember when they said, how many of you are service techs, how many are you installers, right? And I'm telling you, this is what it's about, right?
It is.
I mean, we're all there.
This award right here.
Show them again. Get a little closer.
This award is, you know what this says to me? The biggest thing that it says to me, because to be honest, this award is for so many people than just the name on it, honestly. But it's the community we're in. I didn't nominate myself. This was people and the peers in this industry that caught a glimpse of what we're doing and went out of their way to give me a chance to be recognized. So I don't even know who nominated me or all the people that did, but I thank you. I really do. We're just a small hometown company that stays in our own lane and is so inspired by the people here, the industry as a whole, and we're just trying to play our part. A big thing for me is step up the trade, quality over everything, and expose the hacks. That's my motto. Let's keep it going.
So Dylan and I met many years ago over silly stuff, and
Johnstone University.
and we've had a great time getting to know each other, hang out. I mean, I did a little research on my own laptop to find out how many times I've mentioned his name in the Who, and it's been a phenomenal grow to watch him start a business, much like I did when I was a little younger than him. Grow it into something. Him and Paulie Walnuts are killing it. They're absolutely killing it. And I'd like to thank you for being here today. Dylan, thanks, brother. Dude,
You're the man.
this is good.
See you, everybody.
All right, Teddy, you're going to have to, I can't hear a thing you're saying, but I'm going to say that this is a fun time, right? Live from AHR in
Yes, sir.
Orlando. We're having a great time. There is people, you don't have no idea. There's people all around me here on all sides. If you've noticed, I've been looking to one side or the other. It's because people are trying to get in. It's been a lot of fun. Sorry for the distraction. Sorry I couldn't take you for a walk on the floor because, oh, that's right, the internet is just not capable. We walked 3 feet from where I'm standing right now. I had nothing. So I can't even have a remote camera. So, guys, thank you very much. I thank Dylan for being here. I thank you guys for being here. And we will talk to you soon. Ciao, everybody.
Hi.
Thanks for watching the video today. If you'd like to check out more videos, see the link below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel for all the future updates. And also check us out on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram.